In this video, I'm going to show you how I lay out, pour, and remove epoxy from a form that I poured. Welcome to Bacon's Lodge, where I will build many things, fix even more, and try to make it an adventure along the way. Welcome back. I'm Josh with the Bacon Lodge Adventures. Today we're going to be figuring out how we're going to lay out the wood inside the forms that we made in a previous video, and then pouring the epoxy. The idea is that these are going to be 3 sets of doors for a cabinet that I'm making for the lodge. I have a bunch of this live edge black walnut that I want to put in here, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to orient it. And I'm going to kind of bring you along with that journey. There's a couple of thoughts on this, and I'm going to walk through them here with you and thinking in my head, and then I'll end up picking one, and I'll show it to you guys, and you guys can tell me if I was right or if I picked the wrong one. There's a couple of different ways I can do it. So since we have the 3 sets of doors, I can have each set be independent, where I have just like them going vertical in each door, so they kind of all look like they're regular doors. I could have them going on diagonally, carrying across all 3 doors, so that way it kind of looks like it's a solid piece instead of just a set of doors. I could have them laid down. I don't have them long enough, so that one probably isn't a very good option because it would look kind of funky with them ending halfway through a door. I'm kind of leaning towards the angle where I have it set now, because I want the structure of the door, because epoxy, if it gets really hot, can flex and it can cut more. So my thought was, if I put it at an angle like this, I'm not going to have as much of a risk of inflection or deflection in the future. So I don't want the doors, I want them flat. So I want it to be flat, not cupped like this. So I don't want it to start flat like this and then end up like a smiley face, because then it won't do its job of keeping the cabinet closed. What I might do is, I had some pieces left over from when I did another angle one, but that one cupped like crazy, so I don't know. I ended up having to cut that up and throw it away. You're going to have to ride along with me for this. I'm going to put you on a time lapse, and you're going to see me kind of fiddling with it and figuring out what the overall look is going to be. And when I have it all in there, I'll come back and start talking to you again, explain to you why I picked it out. So I end up going a completely different way than we talked about. I had a whole bunch of scraps left over from other projects that had these angles on them, because I tried to make a door out of the walnut and epoxy, and it didn't work out very well. My thought was I could use them up, and with this, I'm a lot less space for the epoxy. I might even go in here and try to fill in some more of these spots. I'm going to do that for the next 2 panels. When I'm done with that, I'm going to show you how I stick these down before I pour the epoxy in them, because if you don't stick them down, they'll float up. Okay, so I got them all laid out here. So this is the first one, the one that you saw that I had done it first. I kind of filled in a few more little gaps. This is the middle one. I'll be able to give you a better view, hopefully, if these turn out with epoxy, and when they're all done. So the idea is that these will all be a set. So each of these will be filled with epoxy and then cut in half. When they're cut in half, they'll make 2 doors, of course, like a left door and a right door, so they can open up as a cabinet does. So when you submerge wood in epoxy, wood is buoyant, so it'll float up. This is a hardwood, so it won't float as much as like if you use pine or something like that. I'm going to take hot glue in any of the really large pieces. I'm just going to glue down to the tape. I've never done this way exactly before, so it's kind of a experiment. I don't think the hot glue will melt the tape, but we're going to find out together. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the first couple here. I got to say that I bought this cheap hot glue gun off of Amazon. It goes with my DeWalt 20-volt battery system. I think it was like $35. It is awesome. Usually when you get these cheap things on Amazon, they just suck. But this one, it's way better than having a cord. The battery makes it so it stands up by itself, so you don't burn yourself, which if you use hot glue guns ever, you always have it, or you have it sitting down like this and dripping all over everything. So this is really kind of nice. A couple things about when you're laying this out. First of all, I think I kind of like the mosaic. I've never actually seen an epoxy mosaic. Usually you always see the riverbed. And what's cool about it, I got to use up a lot of scraps. You're always thinking about using a lot of scraps. And these being like these angles like this, I couldn't really cut them up in a way that I couldn't figure out how to use them in like a cutting board, unless you basically epoxy them, and then you can make a charcuterie board out of them. But we're going to try it this way. The hot glue did a really good job. You can see they're really stuck down. I know the wood isn't that pretty now. Oxidized and kind of look like, you can see this has got more gray on it and stuff. There's a bunch of sapwood. I think it'll look really good when it's all finished out. Wood is really kind of amazing, because it can look like this, but then when you finish it, it looks beautiful. And then even while you're sanding it, you don't see the beauty of it yet until you actually put the finish on it. This one's a little bit sanded already, so you can kind of see closer what it's going to be. It's going to be a much brighter version of this, but I think I'm going to be happy with this. Hopefully you guys think it's pretty cool. Maybe we'll start a new trend in the epoxy world of doing mosaics instead of river tables. That would be kind of cool too. Okay, so I'm getting ready to pour here. I mixed up the epoxy. First, what I do is I take the epoxy that are in the jugs. This is the one I'm using. It's a liquid glass. It's the thick pour. So what I do is I take this and I put it in the sink with hot water. I leave it there for about 10 to 15 minutes so it gets this warmer. If you heat it up to about 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll figure out what it is Celsius, it pours a lot better. And then I used eye candy pigment colorants. So I used 2.5 parts of the Ronin Black and 1 part of the Nokon Black or Nokon Black. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but I don't make up the funny names. So these are the two that I use for that. The reason why I mixed the two together is I like it. I did this for another table I made for my wife, and the color came out really cool. The blue by itself is pretty vibrant, and it's not what I'd want to use for a piece of furniture or something to look a lot. But I wanted something more than just the black. So it gives this really cool color. I could show you. You can't really see it now in the bucket here, but so what I'm doing now is I mix this for the time that it said to do it, and now I'm letting the bubbles rise up. I don't have one of those fancy vacuum chambers, so I let it sit for about 10 minutes. And throughout that, what I do is I have a heat gun and I pop the bubbles with it. A blowtorch works better, but I don't have mine down here. Mine's up at the lodge. So this works okay. The other one's just a little bit faster. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to just pop the bubbles. With it being the thick pour, the bubbles aren't as important because this takes forever to cure anyhow, and a lot of the bubbles will work out. But you'll see it in a minute. So I'm going to let this sit for a few more minutes, and then I'm going to start pouring this out. So I mixed the first batch here is 6 liters. I couldn't figure out the math on how to figure out how much volume I needed with all these little nooks and crannies. So I mixed up this, and we're going to pour it out. I'm going to try to do 2, 2, and 2. And then when I'm done with that, we'll see if we need to mix more. We'll mix up some more. Oh, I did want to tell you that I did go over this with a shop vac. So I sucked up as much of the dust I possibly can. I'm not too concerned about it because this isn't going to be a clear epoxy. It's going to be a semi-solid color epoxy. So if there's mixed stuff in the mix, I don't think it really will matter. But we'll see in the end. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let this set for a little while longer, and then I'll show you me pouring it. So I tried something a little bit different here. I put a second camera up so I could film it from 2 different angles. If you like this, kind of let me know. I can make it so that I kind of blend them together a little bit better, like as in showing one and then cutting to the other one. It's not as drastic of a difference on this project, but in the future it might be pretty good. With that being said, I want to thank you for watching the video this far. If you like what I'm doing here and you could give me a subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Or give me a thumbs up or any type of comment would be pretty awesome. Once again, thank you and have a great day. Well, my intention of pouring 2, 2, and 2 didn't work. So I'm going to mix some more, but first I'm going to try to scrape some of this off of the top of the boards and into the cracks. I'll show you me doing that. We're just going to take a chip brush that we can throw away. We're just trying to take it off the top, get it down in the cracks. Because the surface of these boards are going to be taken down quite a bit. They're about 1.5 inches thick, and I'm looking to be about 1 inch thick when I'm all done. So I should hopefully have enough epoxy that when I mix my next batch, I can get it all done. I'm just trying to squish it into the corners. I'm not going to worry about the bubbles yet until I get all of the material that pours into it that I can, because otherwise I'm going to pop and just put more bubbles into it. So I got my second batch all mixed up here. I ended up making over 12 liters or 3.5 gallons. It's all the epoxy I have left, so it's got to be enough. So we're going to pour this one out, and this is the last one that didn't get too much last time here. And then I'm going to go to the other side and just pour a little bit over the other ones to kind of fill them up a little bit more. So it's been 10 days. I just wanted to show you what it looked like when it's all hardened out. These are what they are inside the forms. When I was building the form, I tried to make it clear that this stuff is like super crazy, find its holes. So it didn't happen while I was here, and I waited about an hour after I poured this, but it ended up leaking out of that little hole right there, which I completely forgot about. I don't know how it's clearly obvious. And then it leaked out onto the floor, which I can clean that up. Basically, because I have the floor pretty well finished up, I should probably show it. I can just use I use my drywall knife, and it scrapes it off pretty easily. So the next thing I'll do is I'll set you up on a stand, and I will start popping these out of the mold. So to take it out of the form, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all the screws from the entire box. I'll do that on a time lapse so you can see me do it real quick, and then we'll pop the pieces out individually when I'm done with that. So I'll do that right now. Okay, now we should be able to just pull these off. There's going to be some resistance, but they should be able to slip off pretty easily because I'm pretty sure I got all the screws out. You can see where the silicone was still attached to it pretty well, but pulled off pretty easy. So now we got the outside forms off. We got them separated from the bottom part here. A lot of people use wedges. I'm gonna use a speed square. There's a regular speed square, and then just gonna kind of push down and get a little bit of separation, and then just kind of jam it underneath there. Work it along. It's worked pretty well in the past for me, so. You also might need a second one so you can kind of work it a little bit at a time. And there, that one's free. You can see I didn't fill it all the way up to the top, so I'm going to have to do quite a bit of, it'll be sanding. Usually I do planing, but these are going to be 16 inches wide. And then the bottom is pretty well smooth. See, there's a little bit gaps here and there. We'll sand those smooth as well. I'll pop off the other two real quick, and we'll go from there. This one's a little bit harder because I don't have as much place to put good flex on it, but I think I can still figure it out. Use a flathead screwdriver as it started. Enough to get this underneath here. Also, with the silicone, when you remove it, it gives you a little bit of a gap to be able to put something in there to start it. Okay. If you have the bottom piece, in this case the plywood, hanging over your whatever's holding it up, it makes it a little bit easier to flex that piece of plywood or whatever else you use as a form. And then it takes a little bit of force, but once you get it all loosened up, it'll pop free. This is a little while later. I've had a few days of work on it. That's one of the panels, as you just saw. I just pulled it out of the form and basically just stood up on the wall there. This is one of the other panels that I cut in half, and then I used my router mill after I remember that I had it, because for some reason I forgot. I actually did a dig for sanding on this with my drum sander trying to get through it, and then like this seems like forever. So then I remember that I had it, which is crazy because it's right there. Anyways, so it's milled down to about 7/8 of an inch after all the sanding and milling and everything. This one is sanded at 80 at an 80 grit. This one hasn't been sanded yet. Looks pretty good though. I think it'll end up pretty good. All these will turn out to be that blue, so it'll stand up pretty well. And there's some through the actual You probably won't be able to see it now, but when I finish it, I'll do a really a close up of it. Hopefully, it all works out. What I should have done is, see how there's this long board here? I should have done that on every one where I was going to have the hinges, because that's what's going to keep the board more true. This is the other side of that exact one, and it's cutting a little bit this way, like a smiley face. I don't think it'll be enough that it will affect what I wanted to do. Hopefully it won't, but we'll figure it out. In worst case scenario, like might have to put some type of brace on the back. We'll figure that out. We'll cross that bridge when we have to. I think it'll be okay though. You know, I'm not a professional in this, so that's why I want you guys to, or anybody who's listening to me, to realize that this is a what I'm doing channel, not really a how-to channel. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I'm just kind of putting it together with all the stuff I can think in my head. If you have any recommendations for me or how to change stuff, I will always take it, and I may change it if I think it'll better me. If I don't, I won't. That's fine. That's kind of what's great about YouTube is everybody can come together as a community, and as long as it's positive, it's good. And for me, if you turn negative, then I'm not going to listen, because I don't need negativity right now. I got enough stuff to deal with besides that. So I haven't had too much yet. I just know a lot of people on other channels have. Talking about channels, I've been away for a little while because we had a family vacation for a week, and then I was sick for a week, so I didn't get too much done or post for you. But the channel is growing quite well. In that time of me being gone / sick, we went from like 65 subscribers to 240 subscribers. To me, that's amazing. The fact that it's catching on so well, and I'll get some more stuff out for you. Hopefully you like it. The next things I have scheduled are a couple more projects I already have done that I just need to edit the videos. That's why you might see me coming back and forth just at the end of the videos. And then I made a trip up to Eagle River, Wisconsin, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that because they have a pretty cool ice castle up there. You may have seen the shorts that I put out. This is a little bit longer version of that, a little bit more of the ice castle itself. And I'm going to try to put a little bit of history into it. That's kind of what I want this channel to be, where I do projects, but I also do a little bit more, I want to call it the adventure of where I go and actually see things and do things. Besides that, everything else is doing pretty good. I did go to the lodge last week, and I finished out the floor with the luxury vinyl plank floor. I didn't film that for you because I had already showed you how to do that, or how I do that, in the mudroom video, and it was boring for me, so I just figured it'd be super boring for you guys. It was also, I was sick at the time, so it'd be like I worked for 10 minutes and then I'd take a 20-minute break. And it took me, it should have taken me like a day, maybe a day and a half. It took me almost 4 days to fillet it. It was only 800 square feet. So it would have been really boring for you to watch it. I don't know how I would have filmed it. I do apologize. It did take me a little bit longer to get back at this. I just mentally couldn't edit these videos while I was sick. It didn't, I tried and it wasn't working. Sometimes when I get sick, my brain gets, I want to say, foggy, and it doesn't work quite the way I want it to. So I want to make sure I'm giving you the best that I can. And I wouldn't be able to finish it because I wasn't here anyhow in the end of this video. Other than that, I do want to thank you so much for watching this. If you have seen anything I did in this that you didn't like, or that you think that would be done better, let me know. Once again, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. May God bless you, and you have a great day.